Hi, I'm Ed Amoroso from Tag Cyber, and I'm here with Matt Jones, who is the CEO of E8 Security. Hello, Matt.
Hi, Ed. How are you?
Welcome to New York.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you've been with E8 for a couple of years now,
right?
As CEO. Tell us a little bit about the company, and then I want to get into you and your background. But what does E8 Security do?
So E8 is all about applying behavioral analytics to find threats inside your network. So a little history on it. We were founded by our founders, a guy named Ravi Devareddy, came from Visa.
Good guy.
Great guy. Was applying behavioral analytics to fraud, which has been done for years and years. Back in 2008, the CIO came to him and said, see if you can apply this to cybersecurity, a much harder venue to do. Built his own in Visa, realized it was a big market, started the company in 2013. And so I joined about 2.5 years ago and helped him scale the company and get into big companies. So.
That's awesome. Now your base originally had been in telecom, right?
That's right. We got
to run same time, right?
That's
Mid-'80s.
Right. Yeah. So I got in telco in the mid-'80s. I came out of graduate school and I loved technology. And telco was, kind of the Wild West back then. Yeah. Deregulation. All these companies are $4 billion companies. So I was at AT&T for 3 years, and then joined Sprint and stayed there for 11 years. And helped build the company. It was a great run for me. Loved it. And then ultimately in '99 moved out and started doing startup work. And so I've been out in Palo Alto for the last, 18 years doing startup work. So and absolutely love it.
That era, like the late '90s, early 2000s, was like a roller coaster, right? For technology and startups. You had a crash, you had a bubble, right?
Oh, yeah.
That must have been quite a learning play, an environment for you to learn how to do business, I would think.
Well,
right?
I was really lucky. So that was the first bubble, right? 99, 2000, 2001. It looked easy. Everybody's making millions of dollars, and it's not easy. In fact, one of my mentors is this guy named Pierre Lamont. Pierre's a famous venture capitalist from Sequoia Capital. And even when he joined my first startup, he was probably 70 years old. He's still practicing. He's almost 90 now. But this guy was great from two perspectives. One is when things got really great and the company's booming, he'd be like, Matt, don't get too excited. It's not that good. But on the other side, of course, startups are hard, right? They have the up and downs. When things got bad, he'd always be like, it's not that bad. And so he taught me this kind of take this long-term vision of it. And so he did my first startup and funded my second startup. My first startup didn't go, but that's how it works in the Valley. Second one was successful. It was a storage startup. We sold the EMC, but he really taught me a lot about it and was just a great, great guy.
Are there any secret formulas to making a startup work? Is it the great team, great product, great customer story? What, if you were an investor or something, what are you looking for in a startup?
Well, I think all those things. You got to have the right team, you got to have the right product, you got to get the timing about right because the market's there, and if you're too early, you can have the best product in the world, but if the market's not there yet, if you're too late, there's too much competition. So I think there's a lot of skill and there's a lot of luck too. It's a combination of both. You got to get the timing right, you got to have the right investors, you got to clearly have the right team, and then you got to get out and find the right product market fit. That's always tough, right? To say, here's the product, here's how it's fit, what customer problem you're solving, and solve it better than anybody else. If you get those all right, you'll be lucky, I think.
Seems like you guys at E8 Security are hitting that timing about right, as hunt teams are starting to use more advanced tools.
Right.
And there are these problems. I think we've chatted before about data and so on. Tell me about what wave do you think you guys are hitting? Because I do think you have the timing right at E8.
Yeah, I think we are about right. So I think there's this combination of 3 different problems a CISO is dealing with that they need help with. That probably started 2, 3, 4 years ago when we started the company is really growing exponentially. One is just the amount of data they have to deal with. The attack vector is bigger, and so the amount of data that a CISO or their team has to look at is just growing exponentially.
Data meaning telemetry, logs, alarms.
That's exactly right. All the different products they have, we're an agentless technology, so taking all the data from firewalls, from Active Directory, from endpoint technology, so that's one.
And when you turn the network stuff on, it goes through the
goes crazy, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Second thing is they just can't hire enough people. In fact, I was out with a big bank. This is about 3 months ago, and he was talking about his SOC team. And he goes, you know how many people I hired in my SOC last year? And I said, no, how many? He goes, 50. He said, you know how many I lose last year? I said, what? He said, 48. So, you just can't keep up. They can't find the talent. And then
50 steps forward, 48 steps backward.
That's exactly right. But they
bad.
need 50 literally to keep up with the data. And the third thing is you just have this, increasingly more sophisticated attacker. nation, state, whatever you want to look at. And those three combined is really causing CISOs problems. They can't find all the threats in their network. They can't keep up with the data. And we help solve that problem.
Let's take you back to the second one, the people one. Is the solution to create technology that makes fewer people more productive? Is that a way of thinking about it? Like, if I have great tools, is it reasonable to think that maybe I don't need as many people, or is that not the right way to think about it?
Well, it's partially the equation. I think clearly you have to make the people more effective.
Yeah.
And you have to take them, prevent them from doing mundane tasks.
Yeah.
Searches, and if you think of what you
waste of time.
Yeah, waste of time.
Yeah.
Making them do valuable things. So kind of upping their skill set is one.
Love that.
And I think secondly is just getting more people in it, because you can't do it with less people. You still need the combination of this kind of analytics and machine learning, and you need people. So they're going to need more people in the future, but we're never going to hire 1 million or train 1 million more people.
Yeah.
So I think if you can get your staff more senior and let tools do the more mundane things and elevate what they do, that's the right.
So maybe having great tools attracts more people to do the work.
I think that's right. I think that is
it's a weird kind of economics there, right? Where you think, wow, if I have great tools on the people, but I think it really does just grow our field.
Yeah. Well, the other thing you have is, because of this turnover too, you tend to have very junior people in your organization, and all that knowledge goes out, right? And if you can have tools like what we do, keep that knowledge, then the people who come in can automatically do more senior things. But every time a person leaves who's been there 2 or 3 years, all that knowledge you have about your environment goes away with them.
Is the machine learning part of the secret sauce in there?
It is. So absolutely. If you think about it, we don't use any rules, we don't use any policies. The way we work is we go in, we take data from your existing, security products and baseline what's normal. So we go into a big bank, a big retailer, and we take 2-3 weeks and say, okay, this is normal activity for you as a user or any device you have.
And what you're doing in that baselining is you're labeling objects and saying this is normal, this is normal, this is normal, and then on the presumption that labeling then does it on its own with the learn. Is that the right way to think about it?
That's exactly right.
Is labeling the primitive?
Labeling is the right way. Looking at logs and trying to say, okay, over time, or compared to your peer group, or compared to other things, what's a normal activity to you as a salesperson, or you as a financial analyst? And then by baselining normal, you can start identifying anomalies. And as you identify anomalies, they could be, not always, threats. Right? And so it's a great way, because hackers can get around rules and policies that people write in SIMs, but they have to exhibit certain behaviors, and those behaviors show up, and then you can identify, and it's usually two kinds of things. It might be you as a rogue employee ready to leave, and you decide to steal a bunch of stuff and go. You're going to act differently than you did all through your career. But more likely it's a hacker coming in, stealing your credentials, looking like Ed, though you're not Ed, and suddenly that hacker's going to act differently than you ever did. And we can identify that and say, boy, why is Ed acting differently than he always has, or why is Ed acting different from his peer group? And then you can figure out that this is something you really ought to look at. And that's where you get those hunters going.
How do you figure that stuff out, like as you're getting started? I can see that once a business is rolling, you can develop means for labeling what's normal because you have an ecosystem to pull from. But how do you bootstrap that? Do human beings have to make sort of guesses or observations to bootstrap?
No, not so. Really, if you think about it, we have enough models and we're taking enough data that's a triangulation of things. And so we call it our fusion platform. We're fusing data together, and we do need some baseline. Like we have to come in, depending which models we have. Some look at it immediately, some need 2 to 4 weeks, and they get better over time, but it's kind of a diminishing.
It's like a soak period?
It's exactly right, because we have to figure out, the first time you do something, it's going to be anomalous, right?
Yeah.
But if you do it 20 times, and so we usually need 4 weeks. More times better, but at some point you get diminishing returns. So if you get 2 or 3 months data, and so we set up how much data do you want to set up, how much do you want to look at, what people are high threats, high admin, maybe you save more data for them, and through all that, you can baseline pretty quickly what it is and find threats pretty quickly.
People watching have all had the experience of their bank or whomever contacting them and saying, hey, we noticed, and then they describe this complex thing that you're over here and your card's over there.
Right.
Is that the idea, like the thing behind that's detecting these anomalous conditions, is really using artificial intelligence to do that? I mean, again, we all have that user experience.
That's exactly right.
Lift the hood up, it's
so
AI.
They've done it for fraud for a long time. How can you be in 2 places or at the same time? I'll give you a good example. So I was flying out to New Jersey about 3 weeks ago, and my computer just died. Just absolutely died. So
it was the New Jersey smog getting into the...
So I told the guy, I said, just take me to Best Buy. I'm going to pick up an iPad, and I'm just going to use that. And as soon as I swipe my card, denied.
Oh.
Why are you in New Jersey buying a? And so the bank texted me, and I said, yeah, it's me. And then it went through immediately. So it's been applied to fraud for a long time. Cybersecurity is much harder applied to because your capability or the way you act in the cyber world is much broader. So it's a harder problem to solve, but it's something you got to solve.
You mentioned the third challenge was the adversary getting like insane good at this.
Right.
Do you think they'll start using machine learning and AI on us?
Well, so that's an unbelievable question. I was just reading a Harvard Business article, and it said AI, the future of cybersecurity, whether you like it or not. And it had 3 vectors to it. Number 1 is more companies using AI in general, and so they're putting AI systems in there. And if those get hacked, it could be a much worse hack than hacking a financial system. 2, hackers will use AI to try to attack. And 3, the only way to solve that is use AI as part of your security. So it's this broad kind of article. It's a really interesting read about how AI is absolutely part of what you need to solve cybersecurity in the future.
Yeah, I know one of the criticisms has been that in any kind of training system, that a really capable actor might be able to somehow train you that normal looks like this, but it's actually that. I would imagine that must be one of the algorithmic challenges that you have to come up with to sort through and make sure that the data you're looking at makes sense.
It absolutely is. And one of the other things we're doing, which I think helps solve that, is every company is different, right? So we come into a company and we have 50 use cases that you can look at and use. But what we're doing is we're opening our platform, a product we're calling Link, that allows companies to write, the more sophisticated companies or partners write their own use cases. So we could go to a big bank or big retailer and say, take our underlying models, we put them together for this model. If you want to put them together in a different way for a different model, we'll help you kind of customize AI for you specifically. And so the big banks and retailers love that because we can never, as a small company, keep up with all the use cases, but we let them build their own use cases and then help get around some of those problems.
Nobody has a green field. Like every company I'm sure you go visit, they have their existing mess.
Yep.
How hard is it to drop a security analytic tool into an existing environment that has a SIM, has log management, has a next generation insert name of whatever, firewall, IDS, blah, blah, blah. When you drop that in, are there connectors all over the place? Is it complicated?
No, how
do you do that?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. So we usually sit beside a SIM or a Splunk and just can take logs from it.
So it's an adjacent.
It's adjacent, sits right beside. If they want us to take logs natively from, let's say, CrowdStrike or some kind of endpoint, we built connectors and can take it directly from them.
Yeah.
And it's pretty simple. We can put it in, and normally sometimes you have to tweak a little bit because the log format might be different, but we can usually get up a POC up and working in a week or two. Pretty simple.
What do you do if somebody's got a bunch of cloud SaaS things with CASBs in the middle and the usual kind of hybrid environment? How do you pull that data?
We can still work, but most of our customers at this point, and we've been focused on Fortune 500 customers, don't have that data in the cloud yet.
Right.
And so, one of our plans in 2018 is have a fully cloud-enabled service. We can do POCs in the cloud, we can do them in VMware, but we're not fully cloud-enabled because our customers haven't demanded it yet. But it's coming. There's just no doubt about it. And so in 18, you're going to see as part of our roadmap, if you want to do private cloud, if you want to keep it on your prem in a data lake, if you want to do hybrid cloud, we'll have the coverage for that.
It becomes more a distributed system. Today, 9 out of 10 data lakes are big Hadoop sitting, and you can sit it absolutely makes perfect sense in kind of 2018. But I do think in the next few years you are going to see that distribute. You'll probably see a big, like if I want to know my security posture in 2020, I'll bet you it's a distributed snapshot across a hybrid infrastructure.
I think you're right.
So that'll be something to work towards.
Right.
So what are some things you guys are working on? Like as you're in your lab, what are the next big things? Is that one of them? Cloud.
One of them's cloud. One of them is this open platform, and the third one is we consider ourselves an analytics platform, and so analytics platform for us means we're not the next generation SIM. We'll let SIM do its job, but open up. So we're getting a lot of customers saying, what's the next kind of field beside traditional cybersecurity where we could ingest data like physical security. They want to match physical security with cybersecurity, or access and authentication. So we're saying, what are the next things? Maybe it's some of the apps that they want to look at, and so put a platform in place and have other data feeds come into us and let our models crunch through those as well too. Yeah. So I'd say open up our platform, cloud, and this broader platform of three things we're working on.
You see IoT as an opportunity as well moving forward?
I do. It's interesting. There's so much hype around IoT, and we've talked to some of the IoT players. But an IoT would be a simpler thing for us to model than a lot of cybersecurity, but haven't had much.
Simply because there's no human being. The protocols interaction pretty predictable.
Right, exactly.
A wind turbine takes 5 commands and
that's exactly
spits
right.
out telemetry.
Yeah.
Duh.
Right.
Yeah.
So for ours, it hasn't been. We've talked to a lot of customers about it, but haven't gone down that road yet.
I'll bet you're going to get a lot of requests for that.
I think so.
I think
right.
because I think more companies are going to be mechanizing their. Like you mentioned, physical security.
Right.
Seems like that's ripe for automation, right?
It is.
Like building control and so on.
Right.
The entry, the monitoring,
right.
the access management, the temperature controls,
right.
the safety systems. I think instead of the traditional safety monitor like in the office, remember on the show, Guys the Safety Monitor.
Oh, yeah.
So, like that, I think that really does have to be a computer at some point, right?
Well, yeah, you don't want the guy out there. And also there's this match between, if somebody doesn't swipe in, how can they be on their computer in your office, right? There's some real natural, simple things that can be combined together that would make it that much better.
That's going to dump into the SIM. I guess
exactly
you guys will have access to something like that. Hey, you think the offense at some point gets to maybe to the point where we can actually keep up with, the defense gets to the point where we can keep up with all these hackers and offense? Like, right now we're not.
Right.
Right now there's a big gap. Do you ever see us getting to the point where?
Well, you hope so. It's funny. I was just reading an article. It was Warren Buffett. Who doesn't believe everything Warren Buffett says? The smartest investor.
He doesn't like necessarily what you and I do for a living. He's not a big tech guy.
But what he said, right? He's not a big tech guy. But what he said was, cybersecurity is the biggest single threat that any business faces today.
Did he say that?
Oh, it was in his latest report. I mean, above everything else, not a tech guy.
I got to look that up.
And when you have somebody like that say it, you got to take it seriously and say, how do we get ahead of this? How do we figure out?
He said it's the single biggest
biggest threat. He either said to mankind or to. I mean, it was a major statement. Look, it was his last. He puts those letters out every year, and so when you think about that, we got to figure out a way to get better. And some of it is better technology. Some of it is working together. As you and I know, the internet's only 25, 30 years old, right? And it's pretty new. And how you work with the government, how you think. I mean, I'm not a big proponent of the government should control this thing, but how do you work better with the government? How do industries work together? What's banking or retailing? How do they work and share things? We'll have to figure that out because, you're right. The hackers are ahead right now, and we got to close that gap.
Well, keep doing what you're doing. After you're done with all the E8 security, I hope you go into government. You'd be a good guy for that. You have a good mind for this sort of thing.
No, I don't know about that.
Maybe you could be the cyber czar at some point.
We'll see who's president then, and we'll determine that.
That's not. I don't know that you're ever going to get to the point where an administration is going to be all that much fun to work with. But,
well, I did in my last startup. I did a lot of work with the government. The Cloud Shield prior to E8.
Yeah.
Our biggest customer was the government. We did a lot of work, and there's a good thing is there's a lot of smart people in the government protecting our, up in the NSA and CIA, and I'm glad we have those people. I work with a lot of smart people there.
Tough job, man. Well, thanks for stopping by. It was great to talk to you.
Yeah, good to talk to you too.
Next time you're in New York, you stop by and we'll talk some more.
Thanks.
And we'll see you next time.